In today's video, we're going to be interpreting features of a proportional graph. So we're going to take a look at different graphs and being able to read and understand them and apply different terms or new terms that you learned about proportions. So in this first example, it says a grocery store sells sliced turkey by the weight. The relationship between the amount of turkey in pounds X and the total cost in dollars of the sliced turkey Y is represented by the graph below, or right over here. What does the ordered pair 1045 mean? So if you take a look, if you read this graph, 1045 means that 10 pounds, there's going to be cost $45. All right. And that's how you read a graph. You start from the origin, you go to the right 10. That means 10 pounds is $45. So I would choose 10 pounds of turkey cost $45. This one right there. Bam. Okay. So it's really important you know how to read the graph. The x-axis, right? The x-axis is the horizontal axis. That's the number of pounds. The y-axis is the total cost. And in my coordinates, the x value always goes first, and then the y value goes after that. So that means from the origin, I'm going right 10, up 45. Okay. Then it asks, what is the ratio of total cost to total number of pounds? So total cost, remember total cost is 45 to total number of pounds. Now you could reduce this as a fraction. Okay, so what I would suggest you do is you take the y value 45 and in your calculator, put it over the x value, 45 over 10, and convert that to a ratio. It is 9/2. So 45 over 10, 45 to 10. Oops. Let me move this a little bit here. So the ratio 45 to 10 reduces to 9/2. And you could also write it as a fraction, 9/2. Because technically, and we're not going to get into this yet, the equation of this line is going to be y equals 9/2x. Okay. All right, so that would be the equation, how you would graph this. So the ratio of the total cost to the number of pounds is 9/2 when you reduce it. And again, use the calculator to help you reduce that, or reduce it like you would fractions in your head. What is the constant of proportionality? So the constant of proportionality is when you divide these. So 9 divided by 2 is going to be, which you, again, use the calculator. You can convert that to the decimal, is 4.5. So 4.5. And another way to figure that out is just take the y value and divide it by the x value. So 45 divided by 10. And again, you did 45 divided by 10. You would get 4.5. So that is the constant of proportionality. All right. What is the unit rate? So what does that 4.5 mean? That means 4.5 means that's the amount of dollars it costs for 1 pound. So it's $4.50 per pound. All right, so that would be the unit rate when I convert that, because it's important to understand what that 4.5 means. That means $4.50 is the cost of 1 pound. And if I wanted to graph that, let me scroll down a little bit. What point is represented by that on the graph? It is this point right here. Now I have to zoom in a little bit because it's really tough to see. It really doesn't hit 5 right there. It hits right below it. So this point right here is the is the unit rate, which is 4.5. All right, so that is that is the point that is represented by the unit rate 4.5, because it doesn't really hit 5. It gets really close, but doesn't hit it. Okay. So some different terms that we've learned here. We learned about constant proportionality. A ratio is when you're comparing two numbers, okay, and you're reducing it. So 45 over 10 is a ratio, 9 over 2 is a ratio, and you reduce that like you would reduce fractions. All right. And remember also, too, the x value is the horizontal, the y value is the vertical. All right, let's take a look at another problem over here. All right, a grocery store sells sliced pastrami by weight. The relationship between the amount of pastrami in pounds and the total cost in the sliced pastrami y is represented by a graph drawn in the xy plane. If the point 828 lies on the graph, what does the ordered pair at 828 indicate? So what I would do is I would draw a miniature graph here. You got a map graph. 828 is going to look somewhere over here. So this, I'm going to say, is going to be 828. It's going to be all the way up here. Okay, and if I make a little point for my 828, right, that's going to be that point. And draw a line, all right? Not really a straight line. Let me try it a little bit better. A little bit better. Okay, so that's a little visual representation of my graph, and that might help me answer this question. Okay. 28 pounds of pastrami cost $8? No, it says the pastrami is in pounds. So this is the pastrami down here. And this is the cost. The total cost is on the y-axis. So the total cost is $28 for 8 pounds of pastrami. So $28, 8 pounds of pastrami cost a total of $28. That's how you would figure that out. So again, it's important to understand what you're looking for. And it tells you in the problem, pastrami is the X, the total cost, which is the Y. So the total cost, $28 of it costs $28 for 8 pounds of pastrami. All right. Let's look at another one. All right. This one has a little graph with it. So Jacob practices the piano the same number of minutes each day. The relationship between the number of days X and the total number of minutes he practices Y is represented by this graph. 2 points, R and S, are labeled. Which statement about the graph is true? So right away, I can say, first of all, this is my unit rate. This is my unit rate. This is just a point on the graph. It probably represents the constant or proportionality, right? That ratio. That means I go up 240 over 6. Okay, so that's what that means. But I know this is my unit rate. Okay, so R over here. So does that mean R, the unit rate is $6, or sorry, 6 days per minute? This doesn't mean 6 days per minute. This is 6 days per 240 minutes. So it's not this one. Point S means the unit rate is 40 minutes per day. 40 minutes per day. Okay, let's see. Maybe that could be a choice. I just want to look at the other ones. Point S means that the unit rate is 40 days per minute. 40 days, that's not even on this graph. If you look at 40 days, doesn't even fit. And point R means that the unit rate is 240 minutes per day. 240 minutes per 1 day is right over here. So our answer is this one right here. Point S is 40 minutes per day, right? 40 minutes per day. So it's important you're able to read these graphs, okay, and understand how to graph the points, all right? So that's it for today's lesson on proportions and graphing proportions, interpreting their graphs, some new features that you're not used to maybe as before when we did equations, but definitely some good stuff as we lead up into graphing equations, which is going to be pretty interesting. So That's it for today's video. And remember, whenever you're solving for X or Y, always give math a try.